Well, it's funny because Sid is that player who just makes. I'm not saying that Sid is the definition, I think, of a player that just makes other players around him better. I know that's such a loose term that people throw around, which I absolutely hate. I don't know if Matthews is that guy. Marner's that guy.
Yes.
Marner makes players around him better.
Yeah, Matthews is more of a difference maker on his own.
Exactly.
Right? Like where Marner kind of needs to create the creative side of his game, but he has to use guys as like bumpers and like one-touch passes and shit like that, right?
I had a thought. I want to know what you think about it. The way people judge general managers in the NHL, I find that us as fans and people in the media world, we all praise GMs. Oh, look, Dubas, he got Matthews signed, he got Marner signed, he got all these guys signed. That's awesome. Hail Dubas. We love Dubas.
And then bam.
Same with over in Montreal with Bergevin. Oh, that's wicked. We got Domi. We signed Price. We got Drouin here. That's awesome.
And then nothing happens.
Exactly. So I feel we're all judging these GMs based on the wrong reasons. Yeah. I think a GM is one of the most difficult positions in the world because you almost have to predict a gel. You have to predict players on your team to gel with one another on the ice and off the ice and in the dressing room.
You're basically evaluating them in your head without actually seeing them.
Exactly. And
in all areas, you're just like...
you know what I mean? Like, and everyone praises these GMs if they get a great signing, and you can't really tell if a GM has made a great decision until like a year in. Like, what's the guy's name in Pittsburgh? Rutherford?
Yeah.
Because,
He's
are
the
you
owner,
sure?
I'm pretty sure.
No, Lemieux's the owner.
Oh, yeah, Rutherford.
He's the GM. That guy, I think, is a great GM who's brought in people to Pittsburgh that nobody knows about. Like when I played hockey with Sid's uncle like last year, and he was saying that the guys that he's brought in to play with Sid and Malkin.
Yeah, they were no-namers.
No-namers.
Getzel? Yeah, he played. I'm pretty sure he played college, but like...
But like who? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and it didn't really work out until a year in, 2 years in. And even when Sid was hurt, the fact that Pittsburgh's, I think they were second in the East behind Washington. Like, that's incredible.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying about that core group. Right?
Yeah.
But I feel like this is the difference for me between, obviously there's a bunch of differences between Sid and Matthews, but it's like everyone sees Matthews as a superstar, which yes, he is. Sid is a superstar. He's a difference maker. He's somebody who can change the face of your franchise.
Yeah.
But Sid is so much more than the superstar, man. It's what he brings off the ice. Everyone's in awe around him. He handles his business the correct way. He's just like a 100% team guy. He's a 200-foot player. Granted, Matthews got a little better in the defensive zone this year, but they're not in the same league in any of this shit. So when you have a guy like Sid, you're going to have, 16 guys that form around him because he has that much of a presence. Do you know what I mean?
I know exactly.
And then Matthews is just kind of like, yeah, he can flash and dash and he can score at home. But like, are people gelling around him? We don't know what he's like off the ice. We know what Sid's like off the ice.
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean? We know what Sid's like in the room.
Exactly.
Because he's the same person all the time. Now, that could be the case with Matthews, but it's like they're just two different generational players. Do you know what I mean? Sid's like muck and grind, 200 feet, play our end, take pay cuts to bring guys in. Matthews is like money, offense, shooting, spinoramas, and making his own suits or whatever. So it's like they're just different, and it's like there's like more individual play on the Leafs than there would be on Pittsburgh.
And you have to think about the culture of a kid that just got drafted to Toronto compared to the culture of a kid that just got drafted to Pittsburgh. I'm not trying to compare Toronto and Pittsburgh, but
yeah, but who's a more obviously in the last 20 years, who's a more historic franchise? It would be Pittsburgh, but in the long run of things, who's been around, right? Like there's Leafs fans everywhere.
But what I'm trying to say is the leadership ability, because the fact that you're saying Matthews and not Tavares, I think that's a problem. Like, I think a lot of people would say the exact same thing that you're saying, because when you walk into the Toronto Maple Leafs for the first time as a second rounder, you might make the team.
Yeah.
Who are you really looking up to kind of follow around? Whose personality are you looking at?
And that's a good point that you said that, because in my mind, Tavares is that type of guy. Now, he's not as good as Sid, but he's the guy that you form around, that you gel around. He's the guy that's the glue in the room, essentially,
Sid.
Right? Yeah, he's contagious.
Yeah, he's a great leader. He's the way to look at.
He's professional.
And be like, I want to mold my career after this guy.
Yeah.